Welcome to the 2020 FCA Virtual Legacy Dinner. While we're in the midst of a pandemic, we believe that the reality is that God is working through FCA and the KC Core. My name is Marcellus Casey, and for 12 years I had the honor and privilege to be on staff with FCA. I got an upfront and personal look at how God impacts the lives of coaches and athletes. And I get to see that work continue through Alex Campbell, who is the area director for the KC Core.
In 1954, God implanted into the heart of a basketball coach a vision that sports could be used as a vehicle to share the message of Jesus Christ.
This idea was so compelling that it impacted the influencers.
There is a reason for this fellowship of Christian athletes. Athletics has a place. Why this thing of fellowship of Christian athletes seems to have arisen in the mind of a few men. But not just 2 or 3 gathered together, but millions of people everywhere, dedicated to a common cause. The potential is almost beyond conception. Think of the power of this group through all the nations of the world.
And that influence
continues today.
Nearly 7 decades later, that vision is a reality.
Ministering to and through the coach.
Once we've engaged coaches and athletes, we're then equipping them, we're serving them.
To ultimately empower them, men and women who are disciples who make disciples.
Influence athletes from the young age all the way up to the pros.
now is such a critical time.
Sport is larger than it ever has been.
I see FCA being more relevant today
Than at any other time in history.
Right at this very moment, our society, we are removing ourselves from the Word of God.
So we produce FCA Bibles, God's Word, put to the coaches and athlete hands.
Our camps continue to grow around the world.
That's where I felt God's presence the most.
Our numbers are growing. More coaches are joining our team.
Doors opening, now serving in over 84 different countries.
Truly fulfilling that vision.
There's more to coaching than just winning medals.
It's really about the impact you have in others' lives.
I didn't get saved at a church. The FCA met me right where I was.
We come to you exactly where you're at.
By first reaching the coach, we have the opportunity then to reach every athlete.
That's my job, raising leaders.
And that's what's so powerful about the FCA.
It's changing the dynamic of ministry.
They go where you are.
The ripple effect you're having on these kids and these coaches.
And they're going to affect the community for generations. We want to walk through school and people see us and they be like, hey, I know that's a Christian because of the way we act.
If we can change 2 people a day, just imagine how much that will grow.
The impact, it goes full circle.
I do still have that.
It carries generations and generations.
We can reach every coach, every athlete, every community, every country.
To see the world
Transformed by Jesus Christ.
through the influence.
The influence.
The influence.
Coaches and athletes.
FCA.
Fulfilling.
The vision.
Hello, my name's Cody Busick, and I'm the lead pastor at the Vineyard Church in the Piper area of Wyandotte County, out on the west side of Kansas City. And my wife and I, Michelle, have 3 teenage boys, so it's sports all the time. We live in a time where young people and all of us have more information than ever, but a lot of times the most important information, which is who people are and who they were made to be, their identity, gets lost in the noise. Now, some of that goes a long way with sports. You have athletes competing, and as they compete, they find out who they are. They find out what they're made of. You have coaches that as they coach, they find out what they're made of and who they are. But that just is a half measure in a lot of ways. What we need is we need Jesus Christ to come into that environment of sports. So enter in Fellowship of Christian Athletes. When we get Fellowship of Christian Athletes involved with what's happening on our campuses with coaches and athletes in sports, we really can start to see things transformed, because Jesus then is in the midst of everything. And so what I want to encourage you with is that how can you be involved?
Hi, I am Carla Wilson. I currently live in Kansas City for the last 30 years. I joined the board because I wanted to help make a difference in our community. Being a former director of athletics and having direct ties with both coaches and student athletes, it was a natural fit for me. Some of our goals are to sustain our staff, to sustain the staff that we have and to continue to grow it. We also want to empower coaches. Again, being a former director of athletics, I loved empowering our coaches. And then also to see active FCA ministries on our campuses. I would love to see how the ministry can continue to grow through our coaches and our athletes.
The area that Alex leads actually stretches as far east as Independence, Missouri, and it goes as far west as Wyandotte County in Kansas City, Kansas. Then as you look at how far north it goes to the river. And then as it goes south, it goes to Grandview, Missouri. When you think about the area that God has given Alex Campbell to lead, we're talking about some of the roughest parts of our city. And in those rough parts of our city, we actually get to see God shine a bright light through FCA. The lives of coaches and athletes are being forever impacted and will leave a legacy because of what God is doing through Alex, as well as the leaders that he's raising up. And I just wanted to bring you into a couple of the reasons why I hired Alex. One of the first reasons was he's a man of courage. The way that I saw courage in him was I met him at a camp while he was still in college, and he told me his story. He told me about all that he had been through growing up as a youngster, and then he told me that he was married. And I'm like, wait a minute, you're married? And I'm talking to like a college football player. He's like, yes, I'm married. And then he told me that he has kids. And I'm like, whoa, you're married and you have kids and you're in college? And he's like, yeah. He's like, and I have a full-time job. I'm like, wait a minute. So you're a college athlete, a student, full-time job, married with kids. And if I wasn't already blown away, the next thing he told me was his kids' ages. And the kids' ages were too old for me to be like, man, how did you have these kids when you're still in college? But what was the deeper part of that story was the fact that when he married his wife, while he was in college playing football and a student, his wife's mother passed away, and he did the courageous thing with his wife to adopt her younger siblings, their 3 children. And that blew me away. The other thing that really led me to hire Alex was his story. As he told me what it was like for him growing up in inner city St. Louis, I knew that he would be a perfect fit to work in the KC Core here in Kansas City. He's somebody that our coaches and that our athletes can relate to. He has strong leadership capabilities, and he is a relational person. It's my honor and privilege for you to hear from our KC Core director, Alex Campbell.
I'm grateful to have met Marcellus back in 2009. That FCA camp was a turning point for my life. It also impacted my wife, Michelle, and our younger kids, Trayvon and I and Queenie. But let's be very clear though, because they're not little anymore. 17, 19, and 22. Boy. But you know what? The Lord has always covered us. I'm Alex Campbell, and I get the privilege of serving as the director of FCA in the core of Kansas City. And I have a story that I would like to share with you. And it has everything to do with how powerful the influence sports has become in our society today. Through the power of God, we're able to share the hope of Jesus Christ to see lives transformed right here in our city. The youth are our future, and they're also struggling with many issues and problems that most adults have never had to face as kids. In the core, I've also learned that across the board, those problems look different. But it's just further evidence of why the FCA is needed in our city. FCA is over 65 years old, and we've been blessed to become the largest sports ministry in the world. Our staff, they're local missionaries, and they seek to reach the hearts of coaches and athletes. So who is FCA? Alongside our staff, coaches, and athletes, It's individuals like you that make up our community with board members, financial partners, volunteers, and more. See, our collective vision is to see the core of Kansas City transformed by Jesus Christ through the influence of coaches and athletes. And at this current moment, from north, south, east, and west, east of Independence, west to Wyandotte, KCK, from the River District north down south to Grandview and South Kansas City, we have 15 private high schools, 30 public high schools, combined of 45 total high school campuses. We also have 7 college universities and over 1,500 plus coaches. I'd like for you to see how we're reaching those coaches and athletes and the impact that it's having.
My name is Lamar E. Whitson IV, and I'm serving with FCA here in Kansas City, specifically as an area representative in the core. The heart of our city, get to serve our coaches and athletes there. I graduated from Sterling College in 2015, where I was playing football and studying exercise science, developed a heart for athletes and coaches, what it could look like for God to capture their hearts and them to impact their communities. I moved to Kansas City to come on as an intern with FCA and then ended up sticking around. Didn't anticipate that would happen, but God's plans are bigger, right? So moved here in 2015, did the summer internship, came on staff in Johnson County, and then transitioned into the center city, the core, the heart of our city. If coaches and athletes of sports are setting the tone in our culture, who's impacting them? Who's serving them? Who's leading their hearts? And we believe that God has specifically positioned FCA and FCA staff to do that. Currently, Alex and I are here in the core seeking to engage, equip, and empower coaches and athletes with the gospel. Many of you know there's so many narratives when it comes to the core of our city, the heart of our city. There's violence, there's poverty, there's lack of resources, lack of education. But what you don't hear about is the resiliency, the perseverance, the work ethic, the pride, the hope. And we believe that God has positioned us as FCA staff to step in to the lives of coaches who are trying to manage athletes who are experiencing this chaos and trauma. We believe that coaches and athletes being transformed by the gospel, by the power of Jesus Christ, can change this world. But we also believe that it can change one life, that can change a family's life for generations to come. We believe in discipleship, we believe in multiplication, and that's why as FCA staff, we're investing in coaches and challenging them to invest in their athletes.
Hi, my name is Wesley Forte. I'm born and raised Kansas City, Missouri. I'm the head football and wrestling coach at Hogan Preparatory Academy Middle School. As a coach, I think the number one thing that inner city kids need is they need a Christ-centered coach. Because the number one thing our student athletes deal with is trauma. Trauma from abuse, trauma from neglect, trauma from, any kind of abuse you could think of, and then poverty-stricken areas, because these kids, they don't have hope. So when they see me, they have to see me as an example of how God can make their situation better. So some of the needs that FCA can meet with being an inner city coach, it doesn't matter if you're Little League, middle school, high school, in a central city culture, is we need resources. Not just resources like football pants, which I was lacking this year. I had to raise $500 to get football pants, but we actually have coaches who need training on how to be a godly example for our students. So FCA can definitely bring all those components to every coach in this area, and it's needed.
What's going on, everybody? My name is Terrence Dennis. I'm from right here in Kansas City, and I'm the current tight ends, fullbacks, and snappers coach at Abilene University. And now for me at the college level, I'm not sure if any of you have ever been inside of a college locker room or a coach's office and, hearing all the different words and all the phrases and talking about all the recruiting and things of that nature. But for me, it's exciting because I feel like I'm in my element. My calling started with youth, and I feel like God's kind of led me up to higher levels right now with college kids, just in the simple fact that that's that transition, right, from being dependent into finding out just who you are into complete independence almost as a grown adult. So for me, it was a big transition in life for me to grow. And once I got involved with FCA, I met my guy, Alex Campbell. He really started talking to me, just kind of breaking things down systematically. I got to watch him interact with his family, with his wife, with his kids, watch them grow. It was a situation where FCA beyond just the name of Fellowship of Christian Athletes, the Christian part, the Christ part never went away. And that was something that I was able to take with me even now as a coach, that, especially at the college level.
I'm Callie Muck, and I live here in Kansas City, Missouri in the Waldo area. And I'm on staff with FCA Lacrosse here in the Midwest region. So I get to work with our staff like Alex and Lamar here in the core to engage and equip coaches and athletes to lead them into a growing relationship with Jesus Christ and His church. I've had the privilege over the last 2 years to build relationships with coaches and athletes here in the core in the heart of Kansas City, and I cannot wait to continue that ministry alongside Alex and Lamar. We seek and desire at FCA to do ministry to and through the coach. So we never want to skip over the coach just to get to the athlete. Really, the best strategy for us is to do ministry to the coach first. So we disciple, we walk alongside, we engage, we equip that coach, so then ultimately that coach becomes an empowered coach and is able to do ministry to their athletes. So through the coach to the athletes, engaging, equipping the athletes so that they can become empowered athletes.
My name is Grace Ball, and I am a junior on the UMKC women's tennis team, and I am from Wichita. In the last year, I'd say I've been able to understand what God's real design is for our lives and how to actually live that out. And one of those areas is discipleship, and just having someone come alongside you that's older and wiser in their own walk of their faith. And so I've been able to have that incredible opportunity to have someone share what they've learned and how to apply that to my own life. And so I'd say a really big area is just I have this platform of being an athlete at UMKC, and not only just sharing the gospel and saying, hey, this is what Jesus did and this is what your response can be, but also taking it to another step and really finding those people that also want to grow, just like I did a year ago. I was like a sponge, wanting to grow and wanting to see what Jesus had for me and how to actually do that. And there's tools within that, and there's tools with learning about Him and how to apply that. And so I'd say a big thing is discipling other people and really just being intentional about who those people are and who wants that. And also just really applying the multiplication. It's not addition, it's not let me try and share to as many people as I can and just say bye afterwards, but also just being like, here's the tools and here's what you can do for someone else. This is how you would disciple someone else. And so I'd say a really big thing is just from being discipled, giving that gift to someone else and getting to disciple someone else, and then them taking that same tool and applying that to someone else. So that's a big area that I'm really excited about for this next year.
Now, what you've just heard, that's only a snapshot of what's happening throughout the entire ministry in the core. And there was a late Billy Graham who once said, a coach can influence more people in 1 year than the average person in a lifetime. It's important for you to realize that God is moving through the hearts of individuals like yourself to advance this ministry forward. See, I have a vision for FCA staff in the core to connect with our local churches, to establish communities, to connect our coaches on every campus, to see our community transformed by the power of Jesus Christ. And I have 3 goals to accomplish this. Our first goal is to sustain our current staff and add 1 new area rep in the core. Now, as you saw what Lamar was able to accomplish at Central High School, I'd love to see that replicated throughout the campuses in the core. Lamar was able to establish genuine, authentic relationships to start to see transformation take place in the hearts of the coaches on that campus. So our first goal is to sustain and add a new area rep in the core. Our second goal is to grow the number of our empowered coaches from 8 to 20. Now, I know that's a big jump, but our empowered coaches are one who lives and expresses out their love for Jesus Christ. They're also connected to a local church. They have a ministry leadership application on file with the FCA for formal leadership and oversight over FCA campuses, events, activities, etc. Last but not least, they engage and equip others to know and grow in a personal relationship with Jesus Christ. Now that's pivotal for the next goal. But goal number 3 is to grow our number of campuses with FCA ministry from 20 to 32. Now you heard me say that our high school campuses combine for 45 total campuses and our colleges at 7. So with 52 total campuses, we desire to grow from 20 to 32 campuses with FCA ministry. I'm believing God that you would consider partnering with us and helping us reach these 3 goals: to sustain our current staff and add 1 new area rep, to grow the number of empowered coaches from 8 to 20, and to grow the number of campuses with FCA ministry from 20 to 32.
I love hearing Alex and his team share about all that God's doing in the ministry. I'm really honored to be a part of what God is doing through Alex and the core of Kansas City. It's amazing. We really believe that God is going to transform the heart of every single coach and athlete in the core. And the amazing part of that, it's going to impact all of Kansas City. What a great opportunity we have tonight. We are honored to give you the chance to partner with us. Now, our dream vision budget for Kansas City Core is $175,000. And tonight, we want to raise $75,000 towards that awesome dream goal. We're going to do this a couple different ways. We'll break that $75,000 goal into 2 categories. First, special gifts of $33,000, and second, we hope to raise $3,500 of monthly new support for our ministry. That recurring support sustains us for the long run. Together, those make $75,000. It's a big dream goal, but we know God is able. That big dream goal of $75,000 will help us in 3 key initiatives. First, we need to sustain our current team and add another area rep for our area. 2, we want to grow the number of empowered coaches. You heard Alex say how vitally important that is to the ministry. And 3, we're going to add ministry on campus. So we want to increase the number of campuses with FCA ministry in the core. Now, to give you an idea how your gift can make a difference, here are some options. $600 or $50 a month funds 4 coaches' huddles for an entire year. $1,200 or $100 a month enables us to carry out 2 coach experiences for relationship building and follow-up coach huddles. $2,400 or $200 a month supplies an entire year of FCA ministry on 1 campus to coaches and athletes. $4,800 or $400 a month supplies 16 coaches with the leadership and resources to have team Bible studies. $12,000 or $1,000 a month trains, resources, and sends empowered coaches on 12 campuses. And $48,000 sustains our current team and brings on a new FCA area rep to serve 5 campuses. With all this in mind, I'll be back later to ask for a faith investment. Tonight, all the funds raised and the support you've given will be used to expand our ministry in the core. And God, we know is going to do mighty, mighty things. Many of you will feel led to respond, and that's why we're going to give you the opportunity tonight. We want you to know there's a lot of current supporters watching this right now, and your commitment right now is sustaining this ministry. Everything tonight is above and beyond what we're currently receiving from you. If you've never had the chance to support our ministry in the core, we're just going to ask that you prayerfully consider, as you listen to everything tonight, being a part of our team and partnering with us.
I've had some amazing opportunities while serving here in the core of FCA. And it was one of them that really spoke to my heart, just on a personal level. And you know, I can't think of a greater coach that really speaks to the importance of reaching the heart of a coach than Hall of Fame Super Bowl winning Coach Tony Dungy. I got to have lunch with Coach Dungy, and the conversation was amazing. But it was one thing that really stood out to me. You see, all the obstacles that he faced throughout his career as a coach, he said one thing that was critical was that he got men of God speaking into his life. But it was what happened next, because he looked me in my eye and he said, Alex, make sure you have strong pillars in your life. So that's my question for you. Do you think that the coaches in the core need strong pillars in their life? With your contributions, we're able to build a team to put those pillars in place.
Thank you for your continued support. It's because of you and your financial contributions that guys like Scott Ashton, guys like Alex Campbell, guys like that administer to me have a job and have an ability to travel around and speak into the hearts of coaches like myself and yourself. And therefore, you can give it to your athletes. So thank you again for your continued support.
I'd like to personally thank you for your contributions to FCA, because without them, I wouldn't be able to get the help and resources from FCA or even develop a genuine relationship with Alex Campbell, my brother. So I ask that you continue to please give contributions to FCA so we can continue to get the discipleship and resources we need in our community.
Just thank you so much for considering a partnership with our ministry.
Once again, we want to say thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for your support.
Thank you for your support.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for letting your family be a part of this special evening. We also want to say thank you for your generosity. Without your generosity, we would not be able to do the critical work that God has called us to in the core of Kansas City.
I want to personally thank you for your support. Your contribution tonight makes it possible for coaches and athletes to come to Christ, and for those already following Him to grow even stronger in their faith. May your gift echo for all of eternity. Be blessed.